Sweet. All right, cool. Matt, thank you for joining me on Headstrong.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing on this hot summer's day?
Yeah, good.
Yeah? So, am I right in saying this is your first podcast?
It is, yeah. You know, a little bit. It's like when I did TV for the first time, I was bricking it, and then every time it gets a little bit easier. So
I feel like you actually just skipped the podcasting and just went straight. Yeah, it's that makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah, maybe.
So I had actually intended to bake something to bring you today. As you can see, obviously haven't failed. Because I was just like, I can't be taking a chef, something that I've baked. So my first question was going to be, if I had baked something, what's your favourite baked good? Like a little afternoon snack as a baked good.
I'd be inclined to like a little kind of Victoria sponge if you've gone for that. Like
Yes, it's in the repertoire.
Yeah. I'm not really much of like a sweet guy, to be fair. No. Simple.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, well, I've got to
Good job you didn't bake anything.
Yeah. I think can you imagine? It's like, oh yeah, correct. So, short answers, as you wish. Favorite gadget in the kitchen?
A thermo pen. It's like a thermometer.
Nice.
Amazing, yeah.
Midnight snack?
Cheese toasty.
Go-to delivery?
Oh, Bleecker burger.
Oh, yes. Best pub in London?
The Cow.
Secretly, the worst ingredient?
Pineapple.
One cuisine for the rest of your life?
Italian.
It will be French, just so you know.
Yeah.
Dogs or cats? Not to eat, by the way.
Dogs.
Yeah. Salt or pepper?
Salt.
Sun or snow?
Snow.
Oh, really? Yes, he's dressed. He's tanned, though. Very nice. Go on. Where would you go?
I just love skiing. We've been going since we were young. Yeah,
love it.
Try to go every Christmas or New Year. Yeah, in the mountains. It's sunny in the mountains.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So, if we're settling down to business, you're the exec chef at Maison François, which I have not frequented yet, and the important word there is yet. But how long has it been now?
Pre-COVID, so I think it's about 4 years old now.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, this Christmas I would have been working on the project 5 years.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame you don't get a little 5-year, 3-month break.
Yeah.
Instead, it's kind of like a 5 years and then you get 3 months of intense work now coming up.
Yeah.
Because you've got cafe opening super soon. When this comes out, it will be open. So tell me about Cafe Francois and how it's kind of materialized as the extension and part of the concept of Maison François.
Yeah, so, I mean, cafe, it'll be more of what you don't know yet, but what everyone knows at Maison François. Borough Market, so it's like a slightly different clientele to what we're used to in St James's. So we've kind of aimed the offer at that kind of there's a lot of people walking around Borough Market, grab and go, fast turns, a little bit more of an accessible offer. So we've got a beautiful like rotisserie oven. We'll be doing some incredible sandwiches, salads, vegetables. Just I guess brunch, lunch, breakfast, just quick bites really, rather than Maison. We kind of want you to sort of take your time and have a couple of hours and a nice bottle of wine and everything.
A bit more experiential, Maison, right?
Exactly.
Whereas this is a matter of convenience while still maintaining that quality.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very nice. When you're thinking of the new concept, how important is, as you kind of alluded to, that location and audience, like target audience?
Yeah, I mean, it's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a successful restaurant, there's a lot of restaurants down in Borough. There's a lot of people down in Borough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of restaurants that are full all the time, and there's a lot of restaurants that aren't very full.
Did you do a recce and kind of?
We've been down there a bit, and you can just see the people who've got it right and the people who've got it completely wrong. And I guess those people haven't maybe taken into account the type of people who are down there, when they're down there, all the rest of those sort of things. So I guess it kind of dictates everything.
I was actually in Borough Market yesterday having lunch at a restaurant called Elliot's.
Yeah.
Really nice. Really nice.
We're just 2 doors down from Elliot.
Perfect. Well, I'm not going to get lost.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, what's a new dish that is going to be on the menu of the cafe? If you can say.
I could tell. Yeah.
Let's say your favourite, not a new one, your favourite one that you're going to bring to life.
My favourite one that we've done so far is actually not. So we've done a little bit more. It's not a bit more broad French food.
Mm-hmm.
So at Maison, we're very like classic French food. Cafe, we've kind of taken, so like banh mi, for example, the sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
It is French because of whatever happened in the past in history and all the rest of it. They use the baguette. So we bought dishes like that in, and kind of like merguez sausages and different influences from around the world, which are tied to France. So we've done this soft shell crab banh mi. You've got the chicken liver in the bottom, mayonnaise, pickled vegetables, cucumber, coriander, and then we've got this deep fried crab banh mi, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's delicious, and it's a little bit different, not usual sort of French food. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's great. When you are putting a menu together, naturally you've obviously got years of experience, in the locker, and that's great. But you must have to. It's trial and error with your menu, right? And building it, what works, what doesn't, and then inviting people in. Where do you get these people in? Is it like the person who introduced us, for example, was he privy to some taste sessions?
Yeah, soft launch. Yeah. So I could even invite you down if you like. Yeah, freebie.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do about 10 days, a week to 2 weeks. We've got 10 days planned for cafe, and it's just friends and family, industry people, and you invite them down for a free meal. Order what you want, drink, eat as much as you want, and then just leave us a nice bit of feedback at the end, what worked, what didn't. And yeah, hopefully then after those 2 weeks, we're ready to open,
That's,
welcome the critics and
just hope there's no severe hole.
Yeah.
Well, that's really exciting. Something that we were just talking about before as well is, I think one of the things of the opportunities that you manage to give people when you open Maison François is with the chefs in the kitchen, where you actually train them up as well.
Yeah.
It's not just about the people you're serving to, but actually the kind of the family ethos and kind of hard work you put into all your employees.
Yeah. That is a restaurant, I think, is the whole ethos. Like, you are one giant family. Everyone works ridiculously hard. You see the people at the restaurant more than you see your own family, pretty much, because, you're there all the time. So, yeah, as much as you can do to be nice and train and sort of like bring people along the journey with you, the better. And also, it's hard to find chefs. So if you treat them nice and you help them to develop and to learn, they kind of stay with you, and it makes your life a lot easier because you don't need to find always looking for chefs, basically.
I think that's great. And when this comes out, this will be, the cafe will be open along with Maison François. And then on top of this, of all your many ventures, super exciting, because you have so many recipes that you've now created that you'll be launching a book soon.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah. So it's going to be called, I don't know. I've not actually said the name yet. You can have it. I'm not.
No, I don't want to. It's up to you.
I'm not sure if I should.
No, don't say it.
It's a book about French classics, and
brilliant.
That's what my Instagram is all about. And from the start, I've just broken down into sections. All the French potato dishes, all the French egg dishes, and the book's basically going to be a sort of a take on what I've done on Instagram, what's been successful. So I've been writing pretty full on for the past 3 months, and it needs to be submitted by the end of this month.
Exciting stuff.
So yeah, I'm nearly there. It's been a good journey. I've enjoyed it.
Quite an experience, and very different and unique to the digital side of things.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, as much as we are going paperless, everyone loves a cookbook.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's got a lot more legitimacy to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you can't, and just looks great, like having a bookshelf full of cookbooks that you like cooking from. I stupidly, naively thought, 100 recipes, yeah, on my laptop I've got 200 recipes, 300 recipes. I'll just be copy and paste and it'll be easy. But chef recipes are boil it, cool it, cook it. They're so short form. And I didn't realize how much writing there actually is to do for a book, and lengthening out the methods and then writing a couple of paragraphs about each. But it's literally been every waking moment I've had spare, I've been on my laptop writing a book.
Yeah, I guess, you forget that it's second nature to you. It's what you've done your whole life. Whereas if you're giving it as a gift to somebody, it's but don't forget that by now you should have preheated the oven, and you need to have trimmed X and done Y.
Exactly. And those little French terminology, just chop the mirepoix and saute this, and people, you have to say, put a medium pan over a medium heat and stir without colour, and
How many French terms are there? Because it might be nice. This is just what I would like, a little French dictionary of words. That'd be quite nice.
There's one at the back.
There you go. Perfect. So I've read the book.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, we need to understand where all this came from, this passion for food. And of course, I done my reading before. I was trying to find a podcast with you on. and that didn't go very well. But then I spoke to our mutual friend, and you've talked about it before, but your kind of introduction to top quality food was when you first went to this Michelin star restaurant with your mum.
Yeah.
Can you describe, if you can remember, what food you had and what was so kind of incredible about that experience?
So it was actually to work, and I remember I came home from school, and it was basically out of food tech. Like, I'm just working with food at school, and I used to watch a lot of cookery programs at school, and I said to Mum, I want to be a chef. And she was like, are you sure? Like, it's not a great job. Like, you're not going to see your mates, you're going to, you're always working on the weekends, all the rest of it. And weirdly, my dad, when he was a kid, actually said to his parents that I want to be a chef. And they said, you're not allowed, you can't do it. You have to learn a trade, go and be an electrician, whatever. And so then he said said to himself, whatever my kid wanted to be, he would back it fully. And I came home and did the exact same, without knowing, did the same as him. And my mum said, look, I know a perfect restaurant, I know a great restaurant, let me email them and see if, they'll take you. Went and met the chef, he gave me their cookbook, sat down with me for an hour, and he's like, look, if you want to cook, come and work on the weekends. So that next weekend I went and I worked basically every Saturday for the period of like a year. I went and worked there for free. And I just remember walking into the kitchen, it was like busy, buzzing, stock to cooking, sauces, like everyone plating up the food. It was just like such a buzzy environment. And literally after that first Saturday, I was hooked.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
And I don't know I'm sure you will know this, but did you know that they're closing their doors for good?
Yeah.
At the end of this month.
I saw it up for sale.
Really sad.
Yeah.
It's so nice that you literally just knew straight away.
Yeah.
Such an incredible kind of thing. No, and actually there's a restaurant near my parents that is kind of a similar kind of setup by that, where it's, where you bring it all to the past and there's different departments. And it's like theatre. I love watching it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And this one restaurant has massive like aquarium. Have you been?
Oh.
You walk past the toilets and you look through the aquarium into the kitchen and you can see it all going on, which I loved as well when I was younger. I was obsessed with food.
Yeah. There you go. So French cuisine, that's kind of been your whole life. Did that set the bar?
Yeah, I think that set the bar, standards and like work mentality, and how like I would go 7 till 4 and I'd leave and they would still be there for another 8 hours. And like I'd be like, no, I can't work anymore. Like I was young, and they were like, no, if you want to be a chef, you need to, these are the hours.
Yeah.
So then they started making me stay like a little bit longer, and I just sort of opened my eyes to what I had to come, basically.
How important is having kind of a really good and inspiring head chef or exec chef as a mentor when starting out?
I think it's the key. It defines who you are as a chef, and like you can see, it's so clear that chefs who've worked with certain types of chefs, the way they are and the way they like hold themselves in the kitchen. Like I was lucky enough to work with very like understanding, patient, nice, kind chefs. You work in the kitchens where they're throwing plates around and effing and blinding, and like if something's wrong, they throw it back at you, and like you just turn into you become a product of where you've trained. And luckily there's less and less of those kitchens. Like they're dying out because you just can't find people who want to work in that environment anymore. But yeah, I was lucky enough to work with some great chefs and helped me become hopefully a good chef too.
Yeah, absolutely. Any nods to any of the mentors along the way?
Yeah, Brian Hewson. So he was the head chef at the Dorchester where I first trained. Big Scouse guy. So he'd worked with all the great like Marco Pierre White, Gordon Ramsay, Mark Twain. Like he's done all the the big guys. And he was just like such a joker. Like he'd give everyone 2 minutes of his time at the start of the day. How are you? How are you getting on? Like make a little joke with you. What do you need any help? Like he was just always there with you. And it was just how to treat people. It was obviously a great chef as well, don't get me wrong, and I learned a lot how to cook and everything else, but it was more like how to build a team and how to bring people along with you on the journey.
Yeah, it's so important to actually remember the people side of it,
Yeah.
I guess, as you've kind of suggested there are so many kitchens that it used to be so normal to have pans flying around and a really intense environment that wasn't necessarily enjoyable, whereas that sounds like it was very much a people-led environment.
Yeah. And yeah, I did I did one stage at a restaurant in London, so I spent a week there, and it was the Michelin star kitchen, and it was like 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. Chefs clean the kitchen, and I just remember this one service. There was a partridge dish. It was a table of 6. The whole table was ready. Turbot, lobster, whatever, like expensive ingredients all over the pass. And all he was waiting for, the chef on the pass, was one pan of mushrooms to finish this partridge dish. And they took 5 seconds. He said, I need 5 seconds. And he was like, literally got every single plate, stacked them on top of each other, and just flung it in the sink, smashed all the plates, smashed all the food. He said, just do it again. And like everyone in the kitchen, just like, I was like, oh my God.
That just doesn't set the right tone.
What's the fucking point? Yeah, what if you're just throwing all that food in the bin? Like, everyone's got to redo it. The whole service now is going to be like completely fucked, because now that table's waiting half an hour, the next table has, like, there was just no need to it. And that guy is not going to learn a lesson from that. He's just going to think that the chef's an asshole, and
Probably does still.
yeah, I do.
Yeah. Oh, it's so disappointing when you hear that. But then also, and I know it is also from that TV perspective, and when you kind of still watch Hell's Kitchen, and oh boy, do I love rewatching Hell's Kitchen series. But you see, and you know he's doing it for show, naturally, because people like to see that stuff. But it's, the smashing of shit.
It's great to watch it.
It's so much fun. But then also, you know full well that when you watch the kind of the children's version and see how soft and gentle he is, he's like, what?
Yeah, no, he came to the restaurant a couple of months ago, and he's such a nice guy. And like, everyone says how nice he actually is, but yeah, you go back to like his very first TV appearances when he's going to get 3 stars, and he's like slapping people on the head and like grabbing it. Like, it's a great watch, but I would have liked to work there.
No, quite. So before the Dorchester though, you and post kind of this Saturday job, weekend job, you went to culinary at school, down in, was it Bournemouth?
Yeah.
So what was that like, kind of coming from that professional environment and restaurant, going into that educational system? Of course, you were working on the job, kind of learning things, but that was strictly kind of learning your trade, right?
Yeah. So I had a decision. I basically said to the guys at Law Salon, I would love to do an apprenticeship with you. And they said, well, the chef basically talked me out of it. He said, if you come and work with us, all you'll ever know is how we cook food and like our Michelin star food. He said, go to college, learn the basics, learn how to like actually cook, why you do things, all the rest of it. So I said, well, what's the best college? Obviously in Reading, there's a food college, but I wanted to go to the best. He said, go down to Bournemouth. And it was an apprenticeship course. So you spend 3 months learning at college, and then you go off to a year in London, and you go back and forth. And it, basically just defined me as a chef. It was like almost military, like the chef, Mr. Boland. If your hair was too long, he'd send you home. You'd miss a lecture. You'd have to go and get a haircut. If your whites weren't ironed enough, he'd send you home. You have to go iron your whites, come back. If you weren't 5 minutes early, if you were on time, you were late. If you were it was one of those. Like, he just like cracked the whip for 3 years, and he just gets you into this mentality of how on your first day, he said, turn up in a suit 5 minutes early, and like all of us did it.
Yeah,
chef.
I guess just he wanted to set that standard, right? Yeah, that you should maintain such a high standard wherever you go. Because if you get complacent and sloppy, bad habits creep in from the beginning, right?
Yeah. He taught us a lot about food, but he just taught us how to hold ourselves, and always take a notepad, always ask questions, always write down, as you like, taught you how to be good chefs, not actually how to cook.
So when you're in those situations, and then when you went off to these kind of restaurants like the Dorchester, how are you switching off? Because hours are long, you are there to learn and to train, but cooking cannot be your whole life. You need to switch off and relax. So what were you doing to kind of take yourself away from the kitchen?
Just anything outside for me, like fishing. I'd love just spending a day or even a night overnight fishing, golf, cycling, like just anything out in the open air would be my way of getting out of the kitchen. Yeah,
makes sense. What piece of advice would you give to an aspiring chef looking at getting involved in the industry? Apart from
don't do it.
I was going to say, please go.
Yeah, we need more. Work hard and like understand that it is it's your life. So like, if you're ready to commit to it, just give it everything. Because I think if you're going to give it half, there's no point doing it. Like, the reason why I feel like I've had quite a good career and I've enjoyed it so much is because in those early stages, I really did like give it everything, and I was working in restaurants for free on my days off and like just trying to absorb as much information as possible. And like, you're only as good as what you've seen or what you've been taught. So just trying to see as much as possible and be taught as much as possible makes you better, you know, when you're a bit further down the line.
When you kind of completed all this training, and I know that there are probably chapters that I'm missing out in terms of the hard graft that you're putting in, but then you kind of achieved head chef status at such an early age, like pretty abnormal. Isabel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is at 22.
Yeah.
That is crazy young. I mean, when I was at 22, I think, well, I didn't even want to think about it. But, you know, that's incredible to have achieved that already. But at that age, paired with being head chef, how are you dealing with the pressure of building the menu and having this weight on your shoulders?
I think that you're always, that's the beauty of a kitchen. You're always like surrounded by people and you're never alone. So I was incredibly young and fortunate and lucky to be in the position I was. But, you know, there was a lot of hard work prior to that. And, you know, I'd done my graft and I got my recipes and everything else. But I think, what was the question again?
No, about tackling pressure.
Yeah.
In creating new dishes. Does that make you nervous, or did it make you nervous at that age of 22?
Yeah.
Because you're curating the menu.
Yeah,
people are coming because of you to an extent, you know?
Yeah. That's the hardest thing, is that at that stage, you've not yet like formed your style of food and you don't know exactly kind of the chef you want to be. I was quite easily influenced by like little fads and like fashions of foams and jellies and like doing stuff because I thought it was impressive rather than it actually being delicious. And like that was the thing that took me longest to find out, is that food is actually meant to be delicious. It sounds ridiculous, but now I just cook stuff that I really want to eat. And back then I was just doing stuff to try and impress people. But yeah, I would do tastings, and, you know, there would be a team of, you know, managerial people from the kitchen, and it would like be everyone would work on it together. I didn't feel like it was like solely on me at that stage.
What about the other side of it then, when you've got critics coming in? How do you tackle criticism?
Luckily for me, we didn't have any bad ones. But yeah, I think you just take it on the chin. There's not much you can do. Everyone's got their, like, something you love, I might not like.
It comes down to subjectivity.
Yeah, like it is what it is. I think as long as you know that you put it out exactly how you wanted it, if they don't like it, you know, it's on them. Tell me, okay, they got bad taste.
Now, MasterChef The Professionals, what an experience for you. And again, already still at that age. It's funny, from what I've read about you, you were like, I already needed something, you know, fresh and exciting challenge. And it's like, you're only like in your early 20s here. It's incredible. So how would you describe that process getting into it? Did you have to apply for that? Did they come knocking?
Yeah, no, I had to apply. And it's just people who don't really know restaurants, don't know chefs. The one thing they always asked me was, when are you doing MasterChef? When are you doing MasterChef? And I was like, it's not even that good of a, like, no, it's great. But like, there's a lot of amazing chefs and they would never go on MasterChef. So I was like, I'm not that bothered about it. And then like, you just keep being asked and asked and asked. And I hit this like wall and I was like, I don't know what to do. And then I saw this thing like, apply for MasterChef The Professionals now. And I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. Applied, got through.
Go on, but what's that process of though? You know, what did you have to do?
You just fill in like this 10-page online form. I think you have to send a little video of yourself saying like, hi, I'm a chef and blah, blah. And then after that, they invite you to like regional auditions or interviews. Yeah, like what? Yeah. So we went and met someone, sat in the room with them, spoke to them. I think you have to do a little like 3-course menu for them. And then, you just keep getting whittled down into like 48 people.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an intense environment in that room, I bet. I mean, the normal MasterChef, I imagine, is tense anyway. When it's the professionals, as you say, it's these people who are potentially putting their career on the line if they fluff it. And so what is that? What's it like being in that room? Can you feel the pressure?
Yeah. That was only the first time. So I guess going back to this doing everything for the first time is a little bit stressful, but the skills test, have you seen the professionals? Is like the one where you just make a complete ass for yourself and they go, Matthew Ryle, head chef in Mayfair. And then you go in and like they say, make me an omelette, and you just like, to be honest, you could have asked half the chef to like cut a carrot in half. They're that nervous, they would have like cut it in 3.
Yeah, cut
like,
the finger off.
Yeah, like honestly, you just go completely blank.
Yeah.
You've got like 10 cameras, lights, Marcus and Monica stood there, Greg's there, and you just like, yeah, it's stress.
I think it's, yeah, exactly. It's just a completely new environment.
Yeah.
And then when you're in that room as well, you're not used to the kitchen itself as well. You know, it's all different equipment. You don't know, you know, which hob's best for this pan and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's full on, but it gets easier. And like by the end of it, I was enjoying the process.
So do you reflect on it now and go, actually, I really did enjoy that?
But yeah, best thing I ever did, honestly. Like the amount of doors it opened and the amount of like amazing people I met from that show, it was like such a great. I think it took like 3-4 months, and you know we were just filming on days off from work, and it was a really hard few months because of the show. And like you finish one episode and they're saying, right, we need your recipes typed for the next one, and then the next week you're in on your days off, and you're like, it's such a whirlwind, but it's like, yeah, it's an incredible experience.
What's the kind of hands-on amount of kind of stuff from the producers? So if you wrote a recipe, did they ever go, oh, I wouldn't do that?
Nah.
No, they just leave you on your own.
Yeah, whatever you want. Like Monica helped me one round. I remember we had a box that had an egg in it, and you had to do a dish with an egg, and they give you a notepad and you're like writing down ideas and stuff. And I had 2 ideas. I was like, I'm between doing the mango parfait and the whatever. I can't remember what it was. And she went, I don't know. I'd probably do that one. And I was like, done.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah.
What about your emotions though? Because you know, everyone thought you were, you know, a nod to win it, and you know, it's very flattering to hear those kind of things when it comes down to odds and whatever, or like people's favorites when it got on TV. But you, what were the emotions of leaving? Were you disappointed, or were you just grateful to have made it that far?
I was disappointed, to be fair. Yeah, the crying, that's what you're referring to.
No, hey, you brought it up.
No, yeah. I remember for a while, if you Googled my name, that was literally all you saw. It's me fucking blowing my eyes out on TV, which is brilliant. Yeah, it was hard because like I said, it just takes over your life, just however many months it was. And I thought I'd had like the perfect run. I didn't really remember a single bad comment. I was happy with every single dish. I was like, oh my God, I'm having an absolute blinder here. I've not had a bad dish. And I got to the last round, and I got fairly good comments off Monica and Greg. So I was half the good comments. And I was like, Marcus just went, it's a weak dish. And I was like, God, it like knocked me to 6 because it was the first sort of bad comment I had. And I was kind of shocked that I went out, to be fair. I was thinking like maybe one bad comment out of all of them, they might give me a little pass on this one. But no, I got the boot, and then like, it just hit me. I'm not much for cry, to be fair, but obviously meant a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. What about when people started to recognize you? You know, you must have been, I don't know, in the supermarket and go, oh, you know, what was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty mad. Yeah, it was, when it was on telly, it was like all the time. It's mad how many people must watch the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just weird.
What's the kind of, what do you think the kind of typical person that came up? What age group? What, I want to know.
The elderly category.
I kind of didn't want to say, but
over 24s on X Factor. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. In this kitchen and career, we've you talked about it already with getting outside in terms of how to manage your mental health. But what about burnout? How easy is it, do you think, to get to the end of a fuse when you're a chef?
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone's in the same boat. Like everyone's overworked. They're not sleeping enough. And I think, you know, it's just a spiral. Once you're tired, chefs weirdly don't eat very well. You're in a kitchen full of food, but you don't stop to eat. So you're like tired, you're hungry, your body's like malnourished. You don't have time to work out. Like it just compiles. And then, you know, the simplest of things can, make someone snap.
How important is mental health now in the culinary industry?
Yeah, massively. I think it's, without it, won't survive. So like in our kitchen at Maison, we're very strict that everyone only works 45 hours. And, you know, you get 4 earlies or lates a week. So that means you get, your morning off until 3 o'clock, or you finish at 4 and you have your evenings off. There's actually a work-life balance. If people want to go to the gym or see their friends or see their family, like there's time 4 out of their 5 days to go and do that. We do 1 double a week, which is 9 till 11, 11:30, which is a full-on day. But, there's only one of them. When I started, there was 5 of them. So
yeah. So you're setting your own culture there. So is there any kind of rules or, for example, in football, you've got the PFA and, your association. Is there something equivalent in the kitchen world? A union?
I maybe.
But it's just more, I was just more thinking, what changes can we see to kind of better support the well-being of chefs and kitchen staff?
Yeah, I don't know. Something needs to happen. I think it's basically on each restaurant at the moment. And there's a lot more restaurants. Like I was saying earlier, it's hard to find chefs. So everyone's looking for the restaurant that can offer them not only like the best salary and the best working environment, but where they're looked after and treated like people.
Working hours for a chef, as you say, has always been one of those things that people, as your mum said to you, that's not great. You're not going to see your friends, social life. How has that changed as well?
I think they've just reduced. I think the standard in a kitchen was like an 80-hour week.
Wow.
And it was, if you can't do it, then you're not cut out to be a chef. So, they've probably lost some great chefs. I think we were nearly 30 or 25, 30 chefs when I started at college. And out of those 30, I would say there's less than 10 that are still cooking.
Wow.
So like that shows.
After all the work you put in to train, that's really sad. Do you remember what's the most amount of hours you've done in a week? Can you remember?
100 plus. I don't know exactly, but it was when we were opening a restaurant.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, it's full on.
And so you don't eat well. When do you eat? When you get home at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, and it's like a couple of like packets of super noodles, or like it's just like crap, or a takeaway, or you don't have time to actually like eat good food. Yeah,
that's such a shame.
Yeah,
I was watching a very funny clip on TikTok the other day of Mickey Flanagan. A hilarious chat, but he was talking about atmosphere versus ambience, and he was saying that kind of the posh restaurants used to have an ambience but no atmosphere because it's still all a bit snobby.
Yeah.
How do you think kind of atmosphere and approach to good food, Michelin star food, or what people would deem posh restaurants, has evolved?
I think I personally, I'm kind of done with the ambiance restaurants, the super fancy restaurants. There's nothing I'd much rather spend my money in a restaurant that has like a great vibe, great food. You can have a good time, you can have a laugh, there's music. Like, I think everyone's in that same boat now. I think everyone's kind of done with the tasting menus and the really super fancy Michelin food. Like, even the great 2-star and 3-star restaurants, you can see their styles changing a little bit. And, there's a bit of music in the restaurant. They're a little bit more playful with the way they do things. The like Ritz style, which the Ritz is great, don't be wrong, it's incredible. But that style of like super like high-end service is maybe like less.
Yeah, I guess it's tradition versus trends. Like, you've got to keep up with ultimately what is your target audience, right?
Yeah.
And what people want to consume, both in terms of an atmosphere and the food itself. Yeah. But one thing I will say is, gosh, you desperately want trained waiters.
Yeah.
When you go somewhere and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
No. Anyway. Now, one of the big things, and I suppose an area, MasterChef, the professionals, was to thank, but the social media side of things now has helped things exponentially.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely part of what you do in your life, your job, your role. When did you notice this huge growth? When did it all just tee off?
It was like almost, we're coming up to a year now. So I think end of August last year, I started posting some videos slowly. Basically, my friend Tom, who I've worked with literally my whole career, Straker, we worked in Dorchester together, we opened Casa Cruz together, we opened Isabel together, like we worked together for years and years. He's massive on Instagram, he was doing it, and I was watching him thinking, bloody hell, I want a piece of that, basically.
Yeah.
And he was great, helped me set up. I used a studio, introduced me to his editor, and like just helped me sort of get the ball rolling with things. So I started doing a few videos, went really well. And then I did this potato series, all of basically the great classic French potato dishes, and it just like went completely mental. The first video got like 20 million views and I think 200,000 followers overnight, and it was like, bloody hell, didn't expect that. And I thought I was just going to do it for a month and see what happened.
Yeah,
like,
then reassess.
Yeah, then it like went mad. I was like, oh God, all right, I'll do it for another month. Again, went mad. And then I got to Christmas and I had like 1 million followers, and I was like, oh, better stick with it now. So
Oh, no. So gutted. Oh, fine.
Yeah.
There are so many online food creators. Do you find it difficult to compete? Or did you actually, first of all, did you think, oh, maybe it will happen? But then now as well, there's constantly people popping up.
Yeah, it's a bit like, yeah, there's a lot of us. There's a bit too much. There's a lot of food content out there. But I didn't think it would blow up. I just thought I'd give it a go. But there's a lot of like bad food content out there as well. And people who, I don't know, maybe they were like on Towie a few years ago, and now they're teaching you how to make, you know, it's like, I'm a chef, so I don't watch it anyway, but it's, you know, I'd much rather people learning how to cook from chefs. Makes sense. Like they're actually learning how to do stuff properly.
You talked about that potato series, and then you do these series nicely, and it makes sense. You piece them together. Is coming up with ideas difficult? Because ultimately there will be a time where, well, you've done everything. Yes, trends change, and there's always opportunities for other stuff. But do you worry about ideas?
A little bit. I'm hitting that stage at the moment, to be fair. Yeah. After a year, the ideas are running a little dry. You know, it's food. Like I can always go into a different cuisine if I really need to. That, you know, I can start to revisit some of the stuff I've done before. There's lots of potential ideas out there. It's just you're always looking for the next potato series, and you want the one that's going to blow up. So you're like always putting everything into each series. And I've done a lot of recipe videos now, so I've done a lot of good ideas. Hopefully,
I think if everything is of top quality in terms of the visual content, and then no matter what you're cooking anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as it's edited well, and you know exactly as it's well made stuff. You've got the audience now; they like to see just good quality stuff. Yeah, that's great. This is a very interesting question. If you could cook for any person, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
It's such a hard question, and I always like refuse to answer it because everyone always asks it.
I know.
And I should just come up with an answer. It'd be way easier.
Okay, what about if you're hosting a dinner party? What chefs would you want there? Well, I think to kind of to talk through ideas, because of course you've probably got enough on speed dial or people that come to the restaurant, and you talk to them and exchange pleasantries. But there must be somewhere you're just like, do you know what? 3 hours with them would be pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, not to talk food. I think try to avoid too much food chat.
Fair enough.
But I'd love to sit down with Gordon, like, you know, like all the big chefs of our era. It would be great to chat and see what they're actually like.
What would be your tip for somebody who's struggling to, I don't know, eat well, get in the kitchen, and you know is reluctant to cook? What advice would you give to them?
Follow my Instagram first thing. I can help you cook. I think just starting is always like whatever. Just start, and like that was the thing with my Instagram. Like I wanted everything to be perfect and everything else, but until I started it, I was never going to get to where I am today. It's the same. Like if you want to learn how to cook, just start. Like even if you're like boiling an egg, or like the next day you're learning how to cook spinach, like the most basic tasks. My wife wasn't the best chef when we got together, and now she's like actually a pretty great cook because she just slowly started cooking more, adding to her repertoire. Like, you know, until you start, and if you just keep ordering takeaways, you're not going to become a better chef and eat better.
Yeah, for sure. What are the future plans post cafe then? I mean, I know that was probably such a horrific thing to ask, considering it's not even open yet. What are the aspirations after that? Because we've got these two fantastic restaurants. Are we evolving internationally?
Definitely. Yeah, chats are happening.
Well, we'll just keep an eye out.
Yeah. So no, we've got hopefully another London site not too far away, hopefully sort of towards the end of next year. And then we've been speaking with US and sort of Middle East.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
Amazing. Hey, the one question I ask every guest is, what does the word headstrong mean to you?
I guess would be like kind of like in control of the head. So like head mind is really powerful and can often try and tell you to like, you know, be a slob today and like order a takeaway or like have another couple of drinks, you know, like it's always like the sort of devil on your shoulder, like don't work out. I've got, you know, bad habits. Being able to like understand that it is just sort of like in your head and like, does that make sense? Like control it, say no, and you know, instead of going to the pub, go and exercise and stuff, and like not always doing what you want to do, it's sort of doing what's right for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on. What are your kind of main things that you do for your mental health apart from exercise? Is there anything else that kind of comes to mind?
Just like I just chilling, speak to my wife, like
Family time, having a support network.
Yeah, I think basically just speaking to people is the main thing. It's full on. Just opening up. I was just quite closed, and I would just sort of keep it all in, and it's just not healthy. So yeah, just basically offload it all onto my wife.
Have you ever been to therapy?
No.
Would you? But you're open to the concept because it's one of those things. People are. I mean, it's great that you have the support of your wife.
Yeah.
Right? Not everyone will have that, but then also people are just reluctant with this word therapy. It's almost still taboo.
Yeah.
And so, you know, having that accessibility and option to do so.
Definitely, I would do it. Yeah. I've not. I maybe should just try it, but I've not felt like I've hit that stage where I've like really needed it.
Well, we'll talk at the end of November or something.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Exactly.
Mate, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I'll see you in August at the soft launch.
Good. Nice one, man.
Nice, man.
Thanks.